I'm having a glass of wine after a long day of ghost touristing.
No, thank you.
Hi, we're Scott and Cindy,
Come be a ghost tourist with us.
and we'll tell you if the places are spooky or dooky. In this video, we explore the creepiest locations on Alcatraz, one at a time, so you don't have to.
There's strange lights, described as floating blue lights. They've also seen shadowy figures
Okay.
that are moving through the cell blocks. There's also reports that there was a phantom prisoner and soldiers that appeared before the guards and families.
And what about behind the cells?
And then there's shadow figures that are seen walking on the catwalk in the service area behind the cells. So, we're giving out the audio tour in the showers.
One guard has also said, this is after the prison closed, he heard banjo playing in the shower room.
Oh, but isn't there like only one person that got to play the guitar?
Only Al Capone was allowed to play the banjo in the shower.
They thought that it would put him at risk to play it like in front of other people, so they allowed him to play it while in the shower.
That's not what the other guys were doing in the shower. And I understand, even while Al Capone was there, he talked about a ghost.
A ghost named Jimmy while he was in prison there.
We ran into a woman who said one of her coworkers had seen above the dining room a figure in a white coat walking by, and he thought, oh, it's a tourist or it's somebody visiting here. And then when he looked closer, it just vanished in front of his eyes.
But she said that she had never heard or
No.
seen anything.
No.
And that she really is not creeped out.
Have you?
Maybe.
Psychic Sylvia Brown and an ex-convict, Leon Thompson, they visited the laundry room, sensed the presence of a tall, bald man with beady eyes.
Nice.
Thompson recognized this as Abby Moldowitz, the butcher, who
Oh.
was killed in that laundry room.
Oh my goodness.
Another time, guards smelled smoke from the laundry room and found thick black smoke filling the room. Minutes later, the room was smoke-free.
So there was so much smoke they had to leave, and then they came back and
It was
there's
phantom smoke.
phantom smoke, phantom smell.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the notorious D block, also known as the treatment unit.
Okay.
There are 42 cells, and prisoners held here had no contact with the general population. They were not allowed to work or go to the mess hall. They only got 2 showers per week.
Really?
And 1 day outside. Fierce cold winds blew off the bay. It was an awful, terrible place to be. 6 of the cells there were called strip cells, or the hole.
Yeah.
And they were on the bottom level, the coldest part of the prison. Each person had a sink and a toilet and a mattress at night, but they'd take the mattress away during the day.
Oh my God.
And these guys were not allowed any time outside in the yard or the showers.
Can you imagine? I wouldn't be able to sleep.
The final strip cell, also called the Oriental,
I don't say those things now.
had no sink or toilet, just a hole in the floor. It was cold and pitch black, and people would be left in there for days. So in D cell block, that's where a lot of people feel the worst things. People feel cold spots and uneasy feelings. People have been touched, grabbed by the back of the neck, had disturbing things whispered in their ears.
This is where I feel stuff in deep walk. Like, I don't know why they're so much bigger here. The rooms are bigger, but it's
Because they never let him out.
in this deep block.
They said they let him out once a week.
Oh, that's why. And it was on. There's a lot of energy here.
In cell 12D, a ghost hunter that spent the night locked in there felt icy fingers wrap around his neck. And he saw visions of twisted bodies and dismembered men. Cell 14D is the most haunted, supposedly. It's got extreme coldness, often 20 degrees colder than the other cells around it, and a very unsettling atmosphere. A lot of park rangers refuse to go in there alone. Investigators who've gone in there have felt strong vibrations, tingling. One visitor who went in there said he saw a small man with his head shaved who told him of being beaten, having his legs broken, and being left in solitude.
I'm not liking it.
Other visitors feel like a thickness or a pressure in the air, while the floor beneath their feet felt unstable. They said almost like they were on a boat or on a wave.
Springy.
Yeah, and that the claustrophobic energy in there really kind of distorted their perception.
It's too dark. Put some light in. Oh, can you imagine? I have to say though, when I first walked down D cell, and I felt it immediately.
But more than one person has said when they felt this awful sickness and pressure, they left the room, felt better, and the second they went back in to rejoin their group, the symptoms came back immediately.
Oh.
So it's not just a one-time thing.
So if you get a chance, you should go into 14D. There was one prisoner who claimed a glowing-eyed beast came in there and tormented him. And nobody believed him, of course, but the next morning they found him dead in the cell.
With handprints around his throat.
Oh no.
And they were
stop
not
it.
his handprints. They said it couldn't have been self-inflicted.
Supposedly by the glowing-eyed beast.
Most interesting thing is, the next day when the guards lined up the convicts, there were one too many inmates in the line. And at the very end of the row was the one who had been strangled. And as they looked at him, he disappeared. Shh.
We're in the library. I'm quiet. The librarian is very strict.
But even in the quiet of the library, we couldn't shake the emotional toll of the D block.
That right there is D block. And solitary confinement, the D block. Well, I immediately felt D block energy, right?
You said you did?
I said I did, and then I didn't know when that eruption. I said, I don't know why in here there's more energy. And then you said, because they stay here all day. So there was a lot of negative energy in that spice.
The most interesting thing about the D cells is that's what inspired Energizer to make the D cell battery.
And heading outside the prison walls, they've also seen ghosts around the lighthouse.
Oh, this place looks like it could be haunted.
The island's lighthouse keeper James King supposedly haunts it. He was found dead there under mysterious circumstances. Some also claim to see the outline of the lighthouse. On foggy nights, they'll see what looks like a flashing green light and hear a whistling sound and see the outline of the lighthouse.
That's cool.
So it's a ghost building.
Yeah, ghost lighthouse.
I did the bathroom so bad.
Another building there that's haunted is the warden's house. He held a Christmas party at his home on the island, and several guards there saw a man in a gray suit, a brimmed cap, and mutton chop sideburns.
Oh,
But they didn't recognize. It wasn't like all the other gray-suited, brim cap, mutton
Right.
chopped persons that they knew.
This one was not invited.
We don't know who he was.
He kind of crashed the party.
Cold wind blew through, and this one extinguished the fire in the fireplace as the spirit vanished.
Oh my, so the wind of the spirit disappearing?
Blew out the fire. Now, some people believe that ghost was Michael Mann, an Alcatraz worker who drowned one foggy evening in 1857.
But nobody knows for sure.
No, I guess he had mutton chops. Now, that was the warden's house. The warden's apartment is
What's the
supposedly,
difference?
I don't know.
Oh, he has an apartment for his
Mistress?
Right.
The lady in green is often seen in the washroom of the apartment of the prison warden. She's in her 40s, brown hair, and a green dress. Maybe the wife of the warden who committed suicide on the island while her husband was working there.
So we're making assumptions about this
Yes.
lady in Wait a minute. At least she's wearing green.
That's true, instead of
White or red.
Or red. And then there's the ghost woman of Alcatraz, who's been seen in various areas of the island outside the prison, like in the outdoors.
And outside, people have seen glowing eyes looping through the same motion, like circular.
Oh, so it's just repeating over and over.
Yeah.
As we walked around the dark exterior of the prison, we realized we needed a transition back inside to the hospital.
In the hospital, workers have heard voices and screams of inmates that were actually tied down to the tables in the hospitals until they calmed down.
What is that?
I guess for maybe developing stuff.
Oh,
X-rays
yeah,
or
the
pictures.
X-ray room.
Robert Stroud, known as the Birdman of Alcatraz, spent 17 years in solitary confinement at Alcatraz. Since his death in 1963, Stroud's spirit haunts the island, especially around the former hospital where he spent most of his time. He's seen walking the halls of the hospital and through walls.
Oh.
They have a really big room when you were sick.
When we walked into the room where we talked to this lady who gave us the down low on the spookiness, right as we walked into the room, all the lights went out. It turned pitch black. I think I got it on video, but it may just look like I turned the camera off.
I guess they were in less danger because they were bedridden, right?
Maybe.
Oh my goodness.
And then she went, Luella, can you hit the button?
She didn't say anything. It got turned back on, and then she said several times, "Thank you." I forget what her name was.
Patricia.
Thank you, Patricia.
Is it on a timer?
Okay.
And told us multiple times that they're not supposed to say anything. And then she kept saying that they're not supposed to say anything.
But we don't want to get her in trouble. She
No.
was kind to us.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah. Does it get spooky here at night when you're working here?
No, I'm officially supposed to tell you it doesn't. We are not supposed to admit to anything.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because I said to my boss one day, I was scared to tell him that I had an experience, and he goes, "Well, you know, we all have." And I go, "Well, wait a minute, if we've all had these, why are we not supposed to?" So I don't know. But if I were you and you wanted to go to the area that I would say would be the most, you can't tell me I told you this.
Okay.
Are you recording right now?
So the lady who we shall not name hooked us up to Tomas to have him take us down on a private tour of the Citadel.
Okay, we just went through Alcatraz.
They're not supposed to talk about ghosts, but some people talk to us about ghosts. We won't name names.
No.
But people talk to us about ghosts, and it was fun.
And on the spooky scale, we give it
5 out of 5.
holy effing may. Hey, hold you have us.
So much fun.
We heard things we weren't supposed to, or went places we weren't supposed to.
Yeah, we even got a private tour down to the Citadel.
On the next episode of Ghost Tours.